Hi, this is Billy Tarasio from Modern Law Practice. And today we're going to talk about compensating your attorneys and to a lesser extent, compensating yourself. Compensation is a big deal. It's highly controversial. It kind of puts you and your associates in a place where there could be conflict between the two of you because they want to make more money and you want to make sure that you're operating a healthy business. It's not that you want to exploit your associates for as much money as they can possibly make you. It's that associates don't really typically understand just how difficult it is to run a business. And I recently did a webinar with two really smart people about law firm compensation and lawyer compensation, and it was really interesting. I want to share with you some of the slides from this webinar that were super interesting. This is a really interesting slide, and what this represents is how lawyers are compensated in the United States. And typically, whenever you see a statistical diagram, you expect to see a U, right? And we know, we've got different percentiles and quartiles and standard deviations from the mean. That's typical basic statistical analysis. But when we look at our compensation broken down across the country, we do not see a U. We do not see standard deviations or means. We see really a very strange spike up here at the $160,000 mark. That's not a U. That's fixed pricing, and that's fixed pricing for big law. Okay, so we're going to disregard that because for those of us who aren't operating huge law firms or who don't work in huge law firms, that whole right half of the graph is sort of irrelevant to us. And if we go over here to the left half of the graph, where we have an adjusted mean of $77,000 of average compensation for lawyers who are not in big law, this looks more like a U, more like what we would expect, or an upside down U, more like what we would expect for a statistical graph where you've got standard deviations. And what's really interesting here is there's a spike around 50,000, and then there's a spike around 75,000. But the adjusted mean here is 77,000. So I don't know, one thing that's interesting as I'm looking at this is I don't know if the adjusted mean includes the 165 or if we're not looking at that. But bottom line is most attorneys in this country earn somewhere between 45,000 to 75,000. And most of our associates want to make significantly more. So the other really interesting thing about this webinar that I did was Clio was participating in the webinar, and they broke down what are law firms of various sizes actually bringing in revenue. So if a law firm uses Clio, then Clio knows how much money that law firm is bringing in. And what they did in this webinar was they broke down how much are firms collecting, and therefore how much is available for compensation. Because just because a law firm may bring in, let's say, $100,000 a month, does not mean that there's $100,000 a month left over to go out. You've got expenses. You've got office space. You've got materials. You've got marketing. You've got, equipment. There's all sorts of things that law firms pay for that are not salaries. And without going too far into this rabbit hole, it's interesting because law firms are bringing in a lot less money, a lot less total revenue than I would expect they need in order to compensate their lawyers to a place where their lawyers want to be compensated. This webinar is available on Clio's website, and I'll link to it in the comments, but it's something worth looking at. And it brings me to our discussion today. How are we compensating our lawyers? My firm, Modern Law, compensates lawyers in a pretty transparent way. We have revenue goals and lots of other goals. But the two goals that we've got that are tied to our bonus compensation are Net Promoter Score and total law firm revenue. And I'm bringing this up because one gentleman watched my video on Net Promoter Score, and he said, Billy, I want to understand more about how you use Net Promoter Score and tie it to bonuses. But this is really a larger discussion about law firm compensation. The way that you compensate your attorneys is directly tied and related to what you value within your firm. So for instance, there are legitimate ways to compensate your lawyers that are purely percentage based. And there's pros and cons to that. There's less risk on the law firm owner when you compensate your associates through a percentage only. You are arguably incentivizing them to be most productive, to spend time on things that create revenue, because when they do more and when they create more, that means more money in their pocket and in your pocket. You're sort of aligning objectives. There's a lot of reasons why this makes sense, but there's also a lot of downsides. It's hard to ask your lawyers to invest in the law firm infrastructure when they're not getting compensated for anything except for billing time to clients. You also inadvertently create the incentive for them to possibly overbill clients. While the owner and the lawyer's objectives are aligned, the client and the lawyer's objectives are not aligned. So that's something to think about. But you know, the fact is that there's pros and cons with everything. I have one lawyer in my firm who, most lawyers in my firm are on salary. And I have a salary system for the most part and bonuses. And I like this because I think most of my attorneys want the stability of a salary. They want to know how much money that they have coming in. They want to know that if I screw up and I don't bring enough business, or if I have a major collections problem or whatnot, that they are still getting paid the same thing. And most of them don't want to be law firm owners. If they did, they would be. So they don't want that risk. They want me to pay them, and they want me to provide benefits and vacation, and they want to be an employee. And so that's the system that we have for the vast majority of my lawyers. But I also want to incentivize certain behavior, and I want everyone to be able to reap the rewards of when we meet our objectives. So I've got a bonus system as well. So the vast majority of my lawyers are on a salary, and then the bonus system is twofold. There is a non-discretionary bonus paid out every single quarter if we meet two objectives: revenue and NPS, Net Promoter Score. And this is cumulative revenue. This is team revenue. So if we as a team meet our team revenue goal, and we as a team meet our team Net Promoter Score objective, then everybody bonuses. It's a set amount. It's non-discretionary. It doesn't really even matter if the law firm was profitable or not. That's on me. If they do their part, everybody bonuses. And then I also have the ability and do give individual bonuses based on individual performance. And even if we don't meet our team objectives, it doesn't mean that individuals can't bonus based on their on how they perform, their individual performance. And all of this matters because if a law firm isn't financially healthy, it cannot grow. And when you look at the Clio Above the Law webinar that we did, you'll find that a whole lot of law firms are not financially healthy. They are not bringing in enough money to pay their associates enough and to have enough money left over for things like investing in infrastructure and marketing and bringing on new talent and bringing on new tech and taking the time to train. And there's really no good reason for that. There is an enormous amount of demand for lawyers. We know that we are not meeting the needs of consumers as lawyers. So there really isn't a lack of clients. You might have a lack of being able to bring clients in, but there are not a lack of clients. And the price point that people are willing to pay lawyers is quite high. So there's no real reason not to have a financially healthy firm. And this is something that we talk about within my firm. And my lawyers understand that we are all part of a bigger ecosystem, and none of them can make more money if we don't have a financially healthy firm. And that's why we don't try to gouge our clients for as much money as we can collect. And that's why we can't pay out, astronomical salaries if it's not within the greater context of what we're trying to achieve as a firm. And everything's transparent. Everyone knows how much everybody else brings in because we use Clio and because we report on it every single week. I want my people to know how much they should be billing and collecting down to the day. That way each day they can budget, okay, here's how much money I know I need to build today. That way things don't get out of track. So we offer an unlimited vacation policy. Unlimited vacation or unlimited time off, it's not even just vacation, it's time off and it's attendance. And that only works if people are able to get done their job. And if they don't know what their job is down to the day, then it's very difficult to keep track of that. It's very difficult to know if they're on track or off track. Net Promoter Score is hard. It's hard because it's a leading indicator. So revenue is a trailing indicator. And that means by the time we've collected revenue, so many other things have happened. We've had the right number of intakes. We've had those intakes come in and meet with us. We've had those intakes hire us. We've collected money. We've billed money. All of those things have to happen. Lawyers have to perform in order for us to collect revenue each month. But Net Promoter Score tells us what can we expect will happen in the future. So we can be doing very well right now in terms of revenue, but if our Net Promoter Score is down, we know that we will face a problem in the future. And that's why we need both in order to bonus as a group. These are hard issues, and by no means do I have everything figured out. I think that it's a discussion about the financial model within your firm, what you're trying to achieve within your firm, what your employees need with you, and what you are comfortable with as a law firm owner. But it's a discussion we have, and it's something, we have to have a financial model in order for you to have a financially healthy firm. And that's why it's something that we talk about a lot at Modern Law Practice. We talk about in my law firm at Modern Law. We talk about it with every single client to make sure that they're making decisions that promote what they're trying to achieve financially. I'd love your comments. Love to know your thoughts, and we'll talk to you soon.